Alright, well, here's the difference. What's going on YouTube? 6'5" Rider here, coming back to you with another video on the 6'5" Glide. It's a beautiful morning. It's a little hot, but it's beautiful nonetheless. Like once you start actually get going on the bike, it feels pretty good. I'd like to welcome you all to the channel. If this is your first time, welcome, and if you've been here before, welcome back. On this channel we do moto vlogs, bike reviews, product installs, you know, the whole shebang. And today we're actually going to be talking a little bit about this entire setup right here. We're going to be talking about the THRASHIN Supply bar setup on my 2020 Road Glide Special. So I've had these bars on the bike for almost 2,000 miles now, about 2,000 miles, maybe 2 months, a little less than that, but it's honestly the first upgrade that I did to the bike. By the way, we're going to a car show. It's got a lot of classic cars, and I think this is my friend John. That is John. Yeah, so like I was saying, this is the first upgrade that I did to the bike. I even bought it before I took possession of the bike because one of the most things I hated on the Road Glide platform, you know, the 23 and older, was the handlebar setup. It came stock with that little, I don't know, what do they call it, like the wheelbarrows. So it's like you're actually down here. This is where you're at when you're riding. I don't know if you see my hands, but it's like super uncomfortable compared to this riding position. And as you guys know, I have T-bars on my 2020 Street Bob, so I'm a big fan of the T-bar look, T-bar setup, and that's just because of the way it looks and the way it performs, to be honest. I like having my arms kind of closer together because the bars are a little narrower than like apes, and you know, it gives me that control of the bike, which I love that feeling. We'll take a stop in a little bit and dig a little deeper into the actual setup, but just to let you know, so I purchased the 9.5-inch riser from THRASHIN Supply with the pullback. I think it's a 1-inch pullback, so that means it brings it up a little closer to me. And I went with their high band bars, so it's the 5.5-inch bars basically. So that gave me a total rise of about 15 inches. However, because I also swapped out my stock triple tree, as you can see down here, it actually brought the bars down a little. So the entire setup actually went about an inch below stock, because the stock tree was a little bit higher as far as like where the bars mount. So I was running that setup for a little, and then also the gauge relocation. As you guys are aware, on the stock Road Glide, the gauge is down here. We relocated up there with their kit, and it's beautiful. So I ran that for a little while, about maybe 1,500 miles or so. And I realized on longer trips that because I'm used to the Street Bob being like really tall because it's 16-inch, I realized that the 15-inch height with the -1, that because of the triple tree, I was not super comfortable, and I felt like I wanted to go a little taller. So what I did was I got on the THRASHIN Supply website, and I saw that they sell a 1-inch extension. They also have it in a 1/2 inch, but I decided to go with the 1-inch. And I bought these two pieces right here, this little extension. Now, you just got to be careful. If this is one thing you want to do, first of all, you got to make sure that your cables and wires actually fit that length. Mine did. I heard on the 2020s and earlier, you don't have an issue there, but 21 and up, I think the maximum height you can go is probably 12 or 14, but don't quote me on that. And then the other thing to be aware of is that when you buy the extensions, the bolts that come with it are actually meant for the riser adapter, which is basically the more budget-friendly option to go with T-bars on your Road Glide. Instead of changing out your triple tree, you're just adding that little riser adapter. I'll put a picture of it up here, and mounting your handlebars on them. You do, however, have to cut through your little gauge mount, the little black plastic piece. I'll put a picture here so you guys can see what I'm talking about. You have to cut through it to fit the risers in between, and your little fork lock and the little switch will actually be stuck between the risers, so you won't get really any use out of it. So they gave you those 2 bolts that you will be taking and throwing in the trash, basically, because you won't use it. You have to actually go and get this size. I don't remember. It was like a 3-inch bolt that's 3/8 by something. I'll post it up here, which I easily found at Advanced Auto Parts. So that was another, I don't know, $5 or so to go and get those bolts. But yeah, to get the setup exactly the way I have it, you have to actually go to the Harley dealership and get your bike flashed for it. That's what they call it. They call it the CVO flash, where you do the ignition delete, basically. Alright, let's try to find where this car show is. But yeah, the ignition delete allows you to basically start and stop your bike right from the controls over here. You won't have to mess around with the little ignition switch, which is more convenient, to be honest. It cost me like about 30 minutes worth of labor at the Harley dealership. So at my local dealership with taxes and everything, that came out to about $70, which is a lot, to be honest, but it's something that you just can't do yourself. The dealer has to actually plug it in their computer and flash it. Where the heck is this car show? So once I did that, I actually was able to get started, because you have to, this is a very important point, you have to do that before getting started on the work, especially if you're changing out your triple trees. Honestly, like the setup feels really good for me. As you guys know, I'm 6'5", at about 260 pounds, 265 on a bad day. But it feels really good. The stability of the bars themselves, honestly, like no joke, it felt much better before I added the extension. You do get a little bit of vibration, as you can see, like when you're coming to a stop or whatever, because it is there's no bushings, it's metal on metal, and so you feel a little bit more of the road, which is expected. But my only little gripe was that when I added the riser extension, whenever I'm on the highway or going at like highway speeds, I do get a little bit of a shake on my bars, and I think that's just because it's taller and I'm getting more air and buffeting from my windshield. So that was a little annoying, something to consider, but again, it's not that bad. Oh, here we are. Here's a car show. Oh, it's a car and motorcycle show. I think you have to pay like $10 to register your vehicle, which I'm not gonna do, but I'm just here as a spectator. I just want to watch. Oh, there's Serge. Oh, that's my boy Serge back there. We thought to like go out and make a day out of it, you know, check out some cars and bikes and see what's up. What's up, dude? How you doing? Alright, so this is what it looks like without the THRASHIN triple tree. As you can see, you have your fork lock here. Does the fork lock still work? No. The fork lock doesn't work. Yeah, the accessory and fork lock doesn't work. And, I mean, it still looks like a cleaner setup, but when you're sitting here, it's like you can see the top of your gauge, but not the whole thing. I mean, you don't need to, like you were saying, right? Yeah. It's more of just in case you have an engine light on. Yeah, and then you had to cut this piece, right? Yeah, to fit it? No, I had to trim this piece for the head. Ah, Okay, yeah. So that's what I was talking about.
It's like a
earlier.
Dremel.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not the cleanest, but
it still looks good. I mean, yeah, I never had an issue with the way the old gauge setup looked. It kind of somehow makes the bike look bigger. I don't know why. Versus where you have it up there, but it still looks good. All right, well, here's the difference.
A few moments later.
Well, that was pretty fun. Saw a bunch of classic cars, saw some of my friends. It was a good time. Alright, so let's get back to the bars. As you saw in the video with my boy Serge, he's got the Road Glide ST. He's also got the THRASHIN setup, but he's got the one with the little mounting plate that keeps your gauges in the stock location. And as you can see, I mean, it still looks pretty good, but it doesn't look as clean. Whereas when he was sitting, he was saying that he can only see the top of his gauges because they're basically covered by the riser. And the other thing is that you lose the functionality for the 4 o'clock, which not a lot of people use, I know, but still, it's nice to have it. As for THRASHIN, over here, see this little opening? They give you a key and you have the lock right there. You can still use the 4 o'clock. Really clean setup. Yeah, really good good work by THRASHIN Supply on this. And honestly, the quality is next to like perfect, I want to say. The bars look really good. They have the little, you know, THRASHIN logo over here. It's all made in America, you can see here. You can't see it right now, but I'll see if I can post a picture of it. But on the bar itself over here, there's like a little American flag etched on there, which is really cool. But like I said, ever since I got the extension, I do feel more vibration on the bars, just because it's taller, I think, and it's not as covered by the windshield. So I think to resolve that issue, I probably need to get a taller windshield, which I was thinking about doing anyway. So we'll see. In addition to that, you also have to use their perch clamps, which holds your controls and grips together. And the reason for that is, with the stock bulky perch clamps, which are like this long, I don't think you can actually use it because of the shape of the bar is a little different. And in addition to that, it has a little pin where the stock Harley bar had a little hole that it goes into. These ones don't have that hole, so you can't reuse the stock perch clamps. You actually have to buy the THRASHIN ones. They make it in different finishes. Like they have the you know, silver on black like I have. They have the black on black, and then they have the full chrome one. For me, because the entire, you know, setup is chrome, I decided to do the black and silver. So let's talk about price really quickly. The whole setup with the perch clamps, with the 1-inch extension, with the gauge relocation, with the triple tree, costs about in total it was about like $21.50, I want to say. So it's not a cheap set, but honestly, you're paying for the quality. It's really good quality, really comfortable. Needed to freaking get away from traffic, man. So yeah, it's really comfortable. As you saw right now, like in that little maneuver, like you have so much control over the bike, which is one of the things that I really love about these bars. It puts you in control, really, like compared to like high apes or something like that. Like I said, not a cheap setup, but it's totally worth the money, in my opinion. I mean, one of their biggest competitors is probably the Kraus setup, which just completely looks different. No knocking on that one. That one looks really good too, and I think you can get even taller with that one, but I don't know. I felt like the THRASHIN is what I wanted. The install was pretty straightforward. I've never swapped bars in my life, and this was the first time I ever did it, and it was super simple. The most important thing you have to do is you actually have to lift the bike, you know, like put on a jack stand or whatever. And the reason for that is that you want to relieve pressure from the front forks to be able to remove the triple tree. I didn't know that initially. I was like, oh, I'll be okay without lifting the bike. And as soon as I took off the stock triple tree and was in the process of putting the THRASHIN triple tree back on, it wouldn't fit. And that's because the bike was kind of sitting without the top triple tree with all its weight right on the ground, and that like caused an issue there because the weight kind of made the forks shift a little bit, and it just didn't fit. So I had to like go buy a lift from Harbor Freight, which is honestly a really good lift. Once I was able to lift it, I had to actually take out the pinch bolts for the lower trees to be able to fit in the top tree. Since we're talking about, you know, the controls over here, I'll just mention the grips in case anyone's interested. These are the Kahuna grips. They're the Harley Davidson Kahuna grips in chrome. They feel really good and are super comfortable. I like them. Like, they feel really good. They're not too narrow, not too wide. They just feel perfect. Well, anyway, if you enjoyed this video, which I hope you did, don't forget to hit that like button down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed for additional reviews and moto vlogs. We're heading up to Daytona next week for Biketoberfest. I'm going to spend the weekend over there, and I'm going to try to document the days and basically release it as the day is done. And you know, I'm looking forward to it, hoping it'll be a good time. All right, thank you again for tuning in, and I will see y'all on the next one. Peace.